Hi, my name's Jacob Jones, and I'm the youth pastor at Centerville Community Church in Centerville, Georgia, and I'm here to share my teaching called 5 Things That Are Must-Haves for a Leader based on everything that I've learned for the effective leadership class through Pathway Training. And so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that you need that's a must-have for a leader is that you need clarity for your vision. Now, as Andy Stanley says, clarity is magnetic. If you have a clear vision, then you will more likely attract people to follow your vision. And there's a study that was done basically saying that an overwhelming amount of people, they value integrity. Although people may value integrity, we follow clarity. Now, here's an example of that. Adolf Hitler, he had a clear vision for the entire nation, for the entire country of Germany, but I think we can all agree that he had not the highest amount of integrity. So it's important that we as leaders need to make our vision clear for our organizations, our churches, our congregations, and all that. In order to make our vision as clear as possible, we need to do 4 things. 1, we need to state it simply. 2nd, we need to cast it convincingly. If we ourselves are not convinced of our vision, how can we convince our congregations, all the people who follow us, that answer to us, how can we expect them to follow us in our vision? Number 3 is repeat it regularly. Repetition is the key. And that is especially true whenever we're trying to cast our vision to our entire organizations, our entire church, our entire companies, because the more you say your vision, the more you state your vision, the more it drives home what you expect and where you want to take your organization or your church or your company. And number 4 is to celebrate it systematically. The more that you celebrate someone doing something that gets us to the next step, that gets us closer towards what our vision is for our organizations or our churches, the more people will buy in and will help us carry out our visions. Us as leaders, we're supposed to celebrate the right things. We're supposed to celebrate what gets us closer to our end game. The second thing that is a must-have for a leader is a good attitude. Now, me and my wife, one of our favorite shows is Hell's Kitchen. We've watched all 20 seasons of Hell's Kitchen, and each and every season, there is always at least one chef that does not have a good attitude. That chef is very talented. However, they do not have a good attitude. And that usually splits the teams and causes dysfunction among those teams. Whenever I think of that example, I think of Proverbs 22:10, where it says, drive out a mocker and conflict goes too. Then quarreling and dishonor will cease. Every time that they get rid of that one toxic person on their team, the team usually gets better. And that person usually wants to be the head chef of a restaurant. And if they have that bad attitude whenever they're a leader, everyone that they are leading eventually going to leave the corporation because of the bad attitude of their leader. Number 3, we need vulnerability-based trust. We need to have the type of trust that allows you to be honest about your weaknesses. The best example that I can think of is I have a student on our youth worship team, and she is full of talent. She is a really good singer. However, she does struggle with anxiety. And there were times where we've had to stop practice and she had to say, hey, I'm not in the right headspace to help lead worship. We currently did not have any other person on our youth worship team who is comfortable leading a song. We just do tracks on Wednesday nights, and we have 2 singers, and the other singer was not comfortable singing by herself, so we just had to cut worship for that night, and that is fine. And it's not a regular thing, but it has happened a couple of times. But me as a leader, I appreciate her coming to me. but she would not be so open about her weakness if I haven't been open and honest about my struggles with anxiety and depression. Whenever I preach on Wednesday nights, that really helped her feel like that she can trust me with her struggles. And if we as leaders are not vulnerable to the rest of our organizations or the rest of our ministries, how can we expect those who we lead to also be vulnerable? Well, you may be like, well, how can I know if I can trust someone? Craig Rochelle has a quote that has stuck with me. He says, the only way you can tell if you can trust someone is to trust them. You have to give them a chance. You won't know unless you try.